News TV Puerto Rico, qué gusto estar aquí nuevamente en el almacén del vino de B. Fernández, ya un tiempito, como saben, por la pandemia. And today we're going to do an interview in English. It's English-speaking content. I'm with Chris and Angie from Adelsheim, una bodega that's been around for 50 years and about 20 in Puerto Rico. Mm-hmm. How are you guys? Good?
Good.
Doing well?
Thanks
It's never hard. It's never hard coming down here, right?
No, I have no problem coming to work in a beautiful place like Puerto Rico.
So you guys had visited before, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, a few times.
And I bet that after the pandemic, it's nice to return to those places where you've been happy before, right?
Very much so.
Okay,
Just
great.
get out and see people and share wine together again.
That's fantastic. We have 4 wines. We have a
Correct.
white, we have a rosé, and then we have 2 reds. So why don't we get into the whites? Let's go with the
We're going
first
to
one.
start. This is our 2018 Staking Claim Chardonnay, and we'll taste the
Ladies first.
for the breaking ground.
Thank you.
Sure. Tell me a bit about, before we taste, tell me about the winery per se, Adelsheim.
You want to go?
So we just celebrated our 50th anniversary, so we're in year 51, and
Congrats.
thank you. We're very proud of that fact. The winery lives in the Chehalem Mountains, AVA of the Willamette Valley, and we were the very first winery in the Chehalem Mountains. So we
Pioneers.
We're pioneers, and David Adelsheim himself is a pioneer in the entire industry. So when he started, he was one of 10 early pioneers, the Ponzis, the Letts, the Sokol Blossers, so very famous Pinot Noir wineries, and he was part of that group that learned and created an industry from just collaboration and seeing the value of the land. They planted Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and 50 years later we have a amazing wine industry in Oregon.
Let's get into this wine. This
Yes.
is amazing. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Welcome to Puerto Rico again.
Cheers.
I love the elegance, the restraint. It's not an overblown, explosive nose like you get in some Chardonnays. I don't want to badmouth any region or ABA, but here is very elegant, Burgundian in a way. I'm loving the nose. Let's see it in the palate.
Yeah, good, nice, bright acidity in it, which helps really give it that texture and that mouthfeel.
The acidity is laser focused. I mean, it's tangy. There's a little bit of delicious tartness that makes you want to go for a bite of food.
Food wine.
And cleanses and cleans the palate. Has certain salinity. Beautiful, and the alcohol is very much in check. It's like
13.5%.
It's a beautiful wine. What's the price point of this wine here in Puerto Rico? Do you happen to know? If you don't know, it's fine.
Approximately $45.
Yeah, this is high end. It's incredible. It's incredibly well made. You were going to say something.
I was going to say that what the beautiful thing about this Chardonnay is it's our representation of what we think Oregon Chardonnay should taste like. And I think we did an amazing job being able to make it a shareable food wine, but also something you can drink on your own. And it represents to me what Oregon is, which is approachable, yet elegant and delicious.
Yeah, it's incredible. In a blind tasting, I would say Burgundy. I mean, I would go to Burgundy.
And I like to tell people, I think as a generalization for Oregon Chardonnay, it sits a little bit, stylistically as a generalization, sits a little between California and a little Burgundy.
That's what it is.
And you can get, there's so much varying different sites in the Willamette Valley now that grow really good Chardonnay. Some sites are a little warmer, so you'll get a little riper, richer fruit, and they may put a little more oak on that to accentuate it. And then you get sites that we farm. This is mostly 60% of our estate sites, and it's a little cleaner, a little more towards that Burgundian style.
I love the stoniness.
Yes,
it's incredible.
yes.
All right, let's get into the rosé.
Okay.
Oh, one last question for
Yes.
those watching. Let's say somebody comes to the Almacén del Vino and gets a bottle of that. What do you pair it with?
Angie, you want to go?
You are the chef. Go ahead. I know what I would do, but
What would you pair it with?
I would go hand-seared scallops, or maybe shellfish like shrimp, sautéed. Even you could almost go grilled with a little bit of smokiness because that bright, clean acidity and the flintiness out of it will get accentuated by some smoky texture to your food.
For sure. Delicious pairings. All right, let's get into the rosé.
Okay. So this is our 2021 rosé, and as you can see, the label is a little bit different. This is actually a print that we do a different artist. It's called our Artist Series Rosé. So every year for the last 3 years now, we started this series, and
I'm just gonna put it.
And we showcase a local artist. And this year, her name, lady by the name of Catherine Freshley, who has done quite a few things around the winery. We have a lot of her prints hanging in the tasting room as well. If anybody gets to Oregon, please come visit us.
I
and you'll
love
see some
the
of her-
nose here. This is lime, strawberry, tea, and some cherry salad. The nose.
cherry salad.
It's
And it just
like
doesn't
that.
knock you over with
No,
sweet floral.
no,
It
no.
just gives
Yeah,
you
it's
every
elegant
texture
again.
you want. Yeah.
There's this line of connection between the Chard and the Rosé in how well delineated it is in the nose. It's chiseled. That's the word I was looking
Chisel's
for.
a good word.
I think so. Gina Hennon, who is our head winemaker, and she took over as the full-time winemaker from assistant winemaker back in 2018. And so these
God,
are all,
delicious.
starting with the 18 vintage, they are her wines. And I like to tell people, one of the hallmarks I think that you'll find in Adelsheim wines is there's always just a bright beam of acidity. And that's what really gives these wines just that liveliness and that freshness and that nice, good juiciness to them. And she does such a great job of just maintaining the integrity of the fruit that she works with. It's really great.
There's nothing overblown here. Everything is in place. I mean, there's a great balance between the fruit, the acidity, and what I'm loving about this wine is that it's thirst quencher. It's refreshing.
Yeah, correct.
It feels so ideal for our weather here in Puerto Rico. I mean, you have is it
Yeah.
a pop? Is it a,
I was gonna ask, like, does rosé and Chard do you do well with that wine? Or I feel like this is the wine I would want. if
I
I'm
mean,
this
here in Puerto
climate.
Rico, we have a tendency to drink a lot of reds, even if they're the big ones, like Ribera del Duero,
Yeah,
some
what is
Cabs.
that?
I
Because
don't
you're in
know.
AC all the time? It's freezing in here.
I don't. Yeah, that happens. That has to do with it a bit. But our weather, and trust me, I've done more than 300 interviews. Everyone keeps telling me you guys should drink a lot of bubbles, rosés,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whites.
Everybody should. I don't care what climate you're in. You should
Yeah.
all drink more bubbles and rosé.
This wine is perfect. It's beautiful because it has that red fruit, crunchy fruit, and that spice from. This is a Pinot, right? It's
So
a
I was
rosé
getting
Pinot.
ready to say this is 100% Pinot Noir.
I knew it.
A little bit of Saunier for kind of, and again you get that slight kind of ham.
The color is-
salmon,
Isn't, I mean, the
salmon
color is
feel.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, but
yeah.
you actually taste the color. Like, to me, you taste that there's a little bit of weight to it, that it's not just this.
It's
It
beautiful.
doesn't disappear. It gives
Great
you
for the beach, the pool, with friends, for a salad,
Your
with
pool
a cheese
party
tray.
with
It's a great wine, so I think to your point, we call it a patio pounder at home because all of a sudden we'll be sitting there getting ready to cook dinner if we're outside and we're barbecuing or
Yeah.
just getting dinner ready. We'll open a bottle of rosé, and then all of a sudden you don't even realize by the time you're ready for dinner, it's gone.
Yeah,
Like, wow,
it's incredible.
that
It's
was pretty
delicious.
easy
Let's
to
get
drink.
into the reds. You
Sure.
guys are very well known for your Pinots, and Oregon in general,
Correct.
it's incredibly well known for their Pinots. Let's get into the first one now. I'm very excited. Haven't had an Adelsheim Pinot in
How
a
long
while.
has it been
Well,
since
let's
you've
fix
tried
that.
Well,
our
like
wine?
6 years.
We're gonna fix that right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's been a while. It's been a while.
This is our 2019 Breaking Ground
Love the
Pinot
color
Noir,
here. Love the
which
color.
is what I call the big brother to the Staking Claim Chardonnay. The labels are similar, and part of the name is a tip of the cap to David and everything that he has done for the wine industry. We're staking claim. We're the first winery in the Chehalem Mountains AVA, so we were breaking ground and we're staking claim.
Again,
to what
the
we do
Burgundian nose. I love it. There's gunpowder in it. There's rose petal. There's this note that's so nice that goes to cola, spice, little hibiscus, red tea,
Still-
cherry, and the color is incredible. Wow. What year is this?
This is 2019. Great vintage for us, especially after, so 2020 was interesting to note. We had wildfires for the first time in the Willamette Valley, which was unheard of. And we were going into an incredible vintage, and right around Labor Day weekend, when we start to look at harvest, we had fires really close to the winery. David's house, Quarter Mile Lane, the original side of the vineyard, almost burned down. So we're really excited that the 19s are starting to come out and they're showing beautiful, and then 21s on the other side is
The
going to be
skip.
another
Such a
fantastic
savory
vintage.
wine. It's
Yeah.
savory. I mean, at the end, makes you salivate, makes you want to go for a bite of meat or something.
You can pair this. A lot of people will say that they don't want to pair Pinot with meat, but this particular Pinot specifically has always shown with a robustness that still has an elegance that we like to have.
It feels robust but weightless at the
Yes,
same time.
yeah.
It's
You get that.
delicate, it's ethereal,
It
but
holds its
it
own.
carries a punch.
Yeah, and it's I think Gina. It's great being able to sit down with our winemaker because she has such context on the sites that she pulls these from, from. And the 2019 vintage of this it just shows the vintage. It's a little bit more of that elegance to it. It has kind of that perfumey sandalwood notes and good cherry and elegant fruit, but right on the end, it still has just enough grip, like you said, Angie.
What's the alcohol content there?
13.5 as well.
Oh, I love it. I love
Yeah.
that. I love those moderate
Yeah.
alcohols. Nowadays, you taste certain wines that taste like Weight Watchers chocolate shake, right?
Right.
And they're like so big
Yeah.
and robust, and by the third
overwhelm.
glass,
Yeah.
your
Done.
palate is anesthetized.
It's great for
sleepy.
dessert.
Exactly.
If you're not going to do port, you do that for dessert.
Exactly. This wine is incredible. Let's say that some of your friends get home and they say, Angie, I brought a bottle of this. What do you cook? What do you put in the on the plate?
This would be lamb for me, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I think a lamb with rosemary, which I think
Yeah.
goes really well with this, and maybe a little char, a little barbecue
Yeah.
char with
Yeah.
it,
I can
so
see
that you can pair. It brings out those notes of
Price point here can be less than $80. What's the price here? No one?
Because we like you, we'll give you a special price. We're going to go $55.
Yeah, this is top notch. This is high end Pinot, and again, not because perhaps I want to disregard Oregon, but when you think of this type of Pinot, you think of Burgundy, right?
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
if they put this in front of me in a blind tasting, I wouldn't think USA. I would say Burgundy.
Yeah, and I don't think you'd be wrong. I've said for many years now, for the better part of a decade.
Like a
now that-
Chambolle Musigny.
Yeah, and now that Oregon has really come into its own, I think when you look at Pinot Noir globally, in what's an upper end price for $40 to $70 US for Pinot Noir, I think Oregon is the best value in the world.
Yeah, I
You
agree.
get- You get elegance, and now that the valley has really grown up and matured, and everybody is very collaborative, there's just such a high quality of Pinot
Yeah.
Noir getting made.
I'm gonna take your word and take some of that home for my cellar. Delicious
problem.
wine. All right,
it will
let's.
age well too. Just
Yeah.
for the
Oh,
record.
that's a good question to ask.
We always
Yeah.
ask. David is one of a nobility in Pinot Noir, and he taught me that 10 years is baby still for a lot of Pinots, especially the ones we
Well,
think are
you can
age-worthy.
tell there's the spine and there's the tannin structure, and then you have that sort of minerality to it that will make this age beautiful.
It ages well. It ages with character and pleasure. Still, we drank a 1981 Elizabeth's Reserve, which was one of our more famous labels.
Yeah, with the lady on
yeah,
the. Yeah, that's
his
the one I used to have all the
daughter.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 1981 at our anniversary, and it was
Yeah. Still
beautiful,
showing lovely.
elegant, lots of fruit. You can make this amazing age-worthy wine from our
This is
home.
amazing. Now we're getting here into the
Okay.
funk, into that herb, into that dirt, into that, sticking your hands into wet dirt and the wet
Yeah.
earth. And
Look at the color
yeah,
on
it's
that, too.
incredible.
A
Like I
little
feel
more-
that I'm smelling the morning. Like,
Yeah, just that good
The
kind of
vines on the
wet, fresh
morning.
turn.
Yeah.
rhubarb,
Yeah.
yeah, but nothing overblown, nothing sweet, nothing jammy, nothing oaky. It's just very healthy fruit, right? And you, of course, have that beautiful kiss of oak,
Yeah.
little spice there.
And this is 2018, so it's good to go back a vintage. And we do 8 different single vineyards of our estate sites, and this is our Boulder Bluff vineyard site, which Quarter Mile Lane is where the original plantings were, and we still do a single vineyard out of Quarter Mile. Some of those vines were planted in 1971. And this is called Boulder Bluff. The vineyard is incredibly steep, borderline dangerous, and there's actually a fence down at the bottom of it along the road, because if rocks would fall down, they would
Yeah.
crush a car. And as the name would imply, it's Boulder Bluff because when they went to plant this site, there was literally rocks the size of a Volkswagen Beetle
Incredible.
in this. And so
And that translates into the glass eventually.
yeah, and so it gets, because of the rockiness on it, it's also, the rootstock that it's planted on is an early ripening varietal of rootstock. So I like to show this wine because, again, you get a little bit of that, just, again, really terroir, sense of place of the site, of that earthiness, but some velvety texture in the fruit characteristics as well. And that's just because, again, it's a little bit more of that heat retention from all the rocks.
The wine is delicious, but we're committing a little bit of infanticide. I mean, this is a baby.
It is, yes.
It's a baby. This
Yeah,
wine,
this
It'll have a long life.
I will have the other Pinot first and then cellar this for 3 to 5 years. Right now, it feels that it's, when you see an incredible basketball, baseball, football player when he's 12 or 13 and you know he's going to be great one day,
Potential.
That's a
yeah, you
great
see
example.
the
Yeah, yeah,
potential,
yeah.
right?
Perfect, yeah.
Delicious wine.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what I like about all 4 wines is that they're great sort of companions. Like they're in a supporting role for food. They don't try to compete with food.
Right.
They don't want to be
Yeah.
your source of nourishment. but
overbearing.
yeah, they're delicious.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for this.
Thank you for having us. and
Thank you
glad
for
got
being
to
on the
drink some
show.
wine
Mi
with us.
gente, these
Yeah.
wines are amazing. Get them here at Almacén del Vino from B. Fernández. These are very, very well made wines, very elegant, very ethereal, and wines that are made to be enjoyed now and that you can definitely and safely buy to cellar. Salud.
Yeah.
Gracias.
Salud.
Un abrazo. Cheers.